George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, Tamir Rice, Trayvon Martin, Oscar Grant, Eric Gardner, Philando Castle, Samuel DuBose, Sandra Bland, Walter Scott, Terrence Crutcher. That's just some of the names who've been wrongfully taken away from us due to police brutality. In case you haven't noticed, this isn't right. Black lives matter. Period.
No, baby, that's for somebody else. We're just gonna keep you right where you're at right now.
It doesn't matter what you think.
The Wrestling Wrealm presents Break It Down with Brian H.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Brian H. Waters. In case you don't know, I am the host of Break It Down with Brian H. For you first-time listeners, it is been a rough few weeks. Actually, it's been a rough few weeks because we, as a collective group, have been dealing with COVID-19, a pandemic that has changed life as we know it, a pandemic that has forced a lot of us to be without employment, or if you're fortunate like myself, which I never take for granted, you're forced to work from home. But unfortunately, recent events gave us a double whammy. We are now in the midst of another pandemic, the racial pandemic, a pandemic that, quite frankly, never stopped. However, it's been, masked for so long, and therefore it is, it's been masked for so long, but now recent events have awakened this pandemic, has brought, I don't even want to say awareness, but it's allowed people to really, it's reminded people that people like myself, people that look like me, are not treated fairly in this world. Now, I know a lot of you have tuned in because you wanted to hear me talk about pro wrestling, and I'm going to get to that, but as an African American male, it is my duty to use my platform. It is my duty to discuss what is going on in this world. And that's what I plan to do, quite frankly. Recently, George Floyd was murdered. There's no other way to put it. He was murdered by police. They put their knee to his neck. He yelled he couldn't breathe. He yelled for his mother. And because of that, they still didn't pay him no attention. And therefore, blood could not reach his brain anymore. And he's gone away from us. And I read off a list of names at the top of the show of people who have been wrongfully accused, wrongfully profiled. A lot of them, some of their deaths are mystery. And because of that, they're no longer with us. No longer are they here on earth where they should be. And we're tired of it. We are tired of it. Now, with George Floyd's passing, there's been a lot of awareness. There's been a lot of people making comments. Last week, I was just not in the place mentally to do this show. because before I love wrestling, I'm a black man. I've been black all my life. I've gone to wrestling shows. I've been treated unfairly. Going to independent wrestling shows, sometimes people look at you because you can be in towns that's predominantly white, and they look at you like, why are you here? I remember back in November, I went to SmackDown up in Philadelphia, and I went with my friend Vanessa. We were both in town for a meeting for work, and during the meeting, we had the night before, we said, okay, we'll attend the show. So we attended the show. I told her about it. I said, hey, wrestling's in town. How would you like to go? Yada, yada, yada. So she was like, all right, cool. Never been to a wrestling show before. She was wondering how it would be. We get there. She was surprised. She was surprised the amount of black people that was into professional wrestling. But that's to being a white woman. She was just there, And when it was just so cool, but it was so funny. But when, we've used to it because, we have a bunch of wrestling groups. We have a bunch of wrestling fans, friends who are wrestling fans. However, what's, like I said, it was just interesting to see that because a lot of times, we are reminded, primarily white man sport. And there's been some recent events, like I said, you heard me mention what's happening with George Floyd, but recently, a few pro wrestlers have taken to social media to express their allegiance. So I'm recording this on Wednesday, live right here on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Everything's right below. But as I record this, Tuesday was a blackout day. And the idea for blackout day was to not share any promotions or art or sports media, no sharing podcasts. It was all about raising awareness to everything that was going on. Black Lives Matter. And, a lot of companies had statements. I'm going to read this one by the WWE. WWE supports an inclusive society and condemns racial injustice. That we stand behind our black performers, and they made sure they capitalize black, employees and fans around the world, and encourage everyone to use their voice to speak out against racism. We offer our sincere condolences to the family of George Floyd and the families of countless others who have lost their lives due to senseless violence. Yes, it's senseless violence, but it's senseless violence due to police brutality. So they missed the ball right there. Quite frankly, there's no other way to put it. And, I like looking at replies, right? So when I look at replies, usually I say, okay, so for those who do not know how social media works, usually they take your first reply may be different from mine. They'll either take somebody prominent that I'm following and put their reply first, or I should say mutual follower or friends, meaning they follow, I follow. Or they'll take somebody who is like the most famous or the most retweets or most replies. But the first reply is from this guy named Eduardo, EDWARILO, Eduardo. And he says, why is there only one African American who held the WWE Championship? Why did you treat / book Alicia Fox, Naomi, Sasha Banks, and Ember Moon with their horrible title reigns? Why did Vince McMahon suspend Titus for just touching him? Cut the bullshit, WWE. And I thought that was on point. Shout out to It's Just Lovely, one of the podcasts, one of my friends. And she says, she puts a big old cap. Now, for anybody who do not know, cap means a lie. So she has somebody running out with a big old cap on Ellen. So I was looking at that. Recently, Tony Khan decided to reply to Hulk Hogan's former wife. Now, we all know the situation with Hulk Hogan. I got a lot of heat for it because of, the way I felt. And I know some people felt different. Not going to get into that. By goodness, he was wrong. But the thing is, his wife said a statement basically saying all those Afro-Americans. So first of all, saying Afro is very disrespectful. But saying Afro-Americans need to go sit down somewhere, yada, 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 yada. And I'm like, oh, so that's how you feel. Tell us how you really feel. So she said that. And Tony Khan replied, yeah, but, that's why you will be joining your husband from being banned from AEW shows. So this is news to everybody for the first time. They found out, oh my gosh, Hulk Hogan is banned from AEW. Now, we don't know if that's the reason or if there was another reason. Maybe they didn't. Maybe there was some issues. Let's be real. Let's cut the bull crap. Because Hogan hasn't said anything. I've been looking, and a lot of issues that we're having as the black community with this pro wrestling world is that a lot of people are making blanket statements. George Floyd was murdered on Memorial Day. He was murdered on Memorial Day. I just want you guys to understand that. George Floyd was murdered on Memorial Day. And as he was murdered, a lot of people were outraged. Steven Jackson, former NBA player, former NBA champion. That's a guy he calls twin. He went out there and he been fighting. And he says, y'all better get this straight because whatever happens on y'all. There have been some people out there protesting. A lot of people been going to different rallies and stuff, trying to make awareness. Then you do have some people who have invaded the protest, and there's some concrete evidence that there have been police officers who have been invading these protests. And these are the bad apples, as people like to say, who have been invading these protests. And while they're invading these protests, they're allowing, they are taking people's message. And quite frankly, they're using it and they're bombing buildings, they're breaking glass, breaking into properties. And the protesters are getting blamed for it. That's not cool. But all of a sudden, now people are speaking up. Oh man, you guys peacefully protest. Why didn't nobody speak up when George Floyd was murdered? WWE could have made this same statement that Monday on Raw. Or let's be real, that Friday on SmackDown, that Wednesday on NXT. Now all of a sudden, you want to make a statement afterwards? Nah, Jack. And that's the reason why a lot of people just aren't buying these statements. A lot of my friends have said, if you're going to make this statement, make them by not only opposing racial injustices, but make the statement by increasing black employees in executive positions. We're tired of just being the janitor in professional wrestling. We're tired of just being the manager, the jobber. AEW does a great job at that. Brian Cage back-to-back weeks. And I know it's really cool for those gentlemen to get an opportunity to be on television. But come on now. Come on. AEW talked about diversity from the jump. They had one wrestler that I remember, Scorpio Sky. Sure, Brandy's the chief operating officer. But, all right, let's take the gloves off here. Brandy Rhodes, because she's where she is, and granted, she's worked hard. I have nothing but the utmost respect for her craft. However, what she said was uncalled for, which why it was deleted. And she basically said in so many words, I struggle to identify with the black community because this is how they treated me. And this is how they treated me. Guess what? Black people do that. We make fun of each other. It's not right. Shoot, I was bullied. I went to all white, from a predominantly white school, kindergarten through 8th grade. Going into 12th grade ninth grade was a hard transition. I was told I talk white, I dress white, or I wasn't cool enough. It happens. My own cousins did it. I would go around their way and they'd be like, why are you wearing that? It happens. So Brandy Rose took the opportunity to make this about herself. Very disrespectful. We want to say, shut up. Quite frankly, shut up. There's not called for. And this man, Brandy Rose is married to Cody. Now granted, she has the credentials. She's a former, she was a former broadcaster before WWE. She has the credentials, but it's like that just wasn't the time and the place. There's the conversations to be had there, but trying to make this movement about you uncalled for. Black lives matter. Let's come together. And that's the thing. AEW says they're going, she said she had to tell Cody, you don't see color. She's in a higher place. Use your platform. There's a photographer in East Baltimore by the name of Blake Thomas. You can't tell me somebody ain't going to at least give him a shot, give him an interview. You got all these wrestlers that's seen his photos. I'm pretty sure if you're watching this show right now, or listening to this show, you have seen a photo by him. If you watch the Kevin Owens DVDs, look at the spot where they have Owens, and he's with, I forgot the name of the team, but it's him, Jimmy Jacobs, and Steve Corino. Blake took that picture. A lot of Mia Yim's pictures that you like on the internet before she was a WWE superstar, Blake took majority of them. Same with the Librarian. Blake took majority of them. You know what I mean? So why not? You talk about, all these people talk a good game, So I'm looking at these statements, and and the reason why I'm bringing it to wrestling, because one, this is a wrestling show. We talked about this in sports. I see a lot of my friends, and I choose not to have a sports podcast. I have a lot of friends that have them. When I want to talk sports, I jump on their show if they let me. I like wrestling. That's what I like to do. But we talk about wrestling, and we talk in sports world. We talked about all these teams saying they showing solidarity, and they basically saying, I'm with you, black people. I hear you, because they didn't hear us before, but they hear us now. I gotta admit, I have some good friends reach out to me, some good friends that are white and Asian and Hispanic, reach out and say, I'm here for you. I'm here for you. I want to see how you're feeling. And the reason why I appreciate that differently, one, because like I said, they are my friends, but they have always treated me with fairness and treated me, equally. And so, I can appreciate that. But like I said, when you see all these corporations, we want to see you open up your checkbooks. We want to see you get an opportunity, give opportunities. I've been in a place, fortunately, where being a black man, I've been seen as a leader. Whether it was at Best Buy because I had another leader, it was another leader that was a minority. He saw me as a leader, or if it was, at where I currently work, Johns Hopkins in media relations, where you had a minority manager, and she says, no, I trust your opinion. I want you to lead this project. So that's what we want to see in the world of pro wrestling. We want to see leadership. We want to see on screen. We want to see the face of the company. Bobby Lashley. All right, WWE, I dare you. I dare you, WWE. Put the title on Bobby Lashley. Put your mouth or your storyline where your mouth is. Give Bobby Lashley the WWE Championship. Give Bobby Lashley the push that he deserves. We all know he's talented. He's got MVP, who's a good manager. So Black Lives really matter to you, and you really stand solid. The storyline will make sense. Don't even try to say it wouldn't. Who cares about your plans? The Raiders. Who cares about your plans? If you really care, put the title on Lashley now. Give him the opportunity to run with the goal, and have Drew McIntyre chase. So there's a little bit of wrestling talk for you guys, but that's what I'm saying. If it really matters, put the SmackDown Live Women's Championship on Sasha Banks and let her hold it until Survivor Series. Oh, we know you'll give Sasha the title, but only for a little bit. And, AEW, I give them credit. They put the title on Nyla Rose, and they haven't, to be honest with you, they haven't had a white women's champion yet. So you don't think about it in that aspect. But, we're still going to address this AEW title picture. I want to see, do you have plans for Scorpio Sky? Because we see maybe down the line he could be somebody bigger. Some of us see it. Some of us don't believe it. So put your money where your storylines. Put your storyline where your mouth is. But definitely WWE, I'm definitely calling you out. We want to see more than the New Day being constantly the WWE 20 million time tag team champions. That's good and fine. We understand. It draws ratings. They do numbers. We appreciate that. But we want to see another moment. There's no way. And I know a lot of times I was one to say, okay, well, this is why this guy wasn't champion, and this is why this guy wasn't champion. Yeah, you guys had me. Yeah, sure. Okay. But no. Kofi Kingston, in all honesty, ain't no different than what he was. Just experience. And he don't have an accent. So if you found a way to make it work and make it entertaining, then why not? Sure, he had the New Day backing him, and that made sense. But that raw emotion that came from him, go ahead. Put the WWE Championship on him. I dare you. I double dog dare you. Put the WWE Championship on Lashley. Lashley is the build that everybody looks at. You look at him, he's got the muscles. He's got the raw athletic ability. So that's what I'm saying, Like I said, I want to see more backstage positions. I want to see executives. I want to see, give Titus O'Neil a spot on the board. O'Neil is somebody who's a great spokesman for the WWE. Put him in one of the executive seats if that's what he wants to do. Don't just hold him back. So I want to see wrestling put their money where their mouth is. All these independent wrestling companies, the same thing. You are not exempt. How many black bookers are there out there? I want to see more black bookers. I want to see more black champions across the board. And there are some companies. You do have Booker T, who's done a great job. I gotta say that. So, and I gotta address this. What's that dude from the Forgotten Sons, Jason? I don't even know his name, to be honest with you. I ain't gonna lie to you. I do not know his name. To me, he's just a piece of trash. I haven't really got invested into the Forgotten Sons yet, to be honest. But I see that this dude has, he's showing his support for Donald Trump, and he's happy. And we all know WWE ain't punishing him. Stop giving money to Trump. We know it bottom line. All right, I can't tell him what to do with that money, so let me take that back. But, they will sit there. We know they ain't punishing him, but they saying you support people to speak out against racism and these racial injustices. But then you're kind of I'm not gonna say you support him, but I don't think I just have a hard time believing he got in trouble. Shout out to Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens took the time to basically check him. And I know a lot of people have some serious beef with Chris Jericho. He was caught in one of these Instagram comments saying all lives matter. But then, you look at his recent post on his Instagram. He does have it's not white versus racist. It's not white versus black. It's everyone versus racist. Put that on 1,000,000. He got X out racism. And then, of course, the obligatory Martin Luther King quote. And then, he did a podcast with Sugar Dunkerton. So you got all this, and people are not buying it. It's just not. One of the things I would definitely want to talk about is the All Lives Matter. In case you haven't heard this enough, in case we cannot explain to you, let me break this down. Because that's what we do right here on Break It Down with Brian H. We break things down for people who cannot understand. All Lives Matter is disrespectful to people who are, quite frankly, out here. It is disrespectful to Black Lives Matter, because what you're saying is, well, all lives matter, not black lives, all lives. You're completely missing the point, and it has become hateful. It is to me hateful as that red hat that says "Make America Great Again." When was America ever great? Let's be real. When was America ever great? And somebody's probably sitting there like, well, if you don't like it, you can leave. Guess what? Or they say you can go back to Africa. Well, you go back to Europe. You go back to Portuguese. You go back over to England, to Germany, or wherever you came from. It's a place that was, people stole this land. They took it, straight snatched it from the indigenous peoples. Took the land from them. And then they try to tell us what to do. So that's where I'm at with that. You telling me where to go and what to do and where to go, all that other stuff. Nah, bro. Bye. You go. You leave. Because you wasn't born here either. Or if you was, so was I. I was birthed right here in the United States of America. So that's my issue. When you say all lives matter, when we celebrate Breast Cancer Awareness Month, are you saying all cancer matters? Celebrate all cancer? No. This is awareness. We wanted to let you know. It may be people. No, I'm not even going to get into that. What it's essentially saying is Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter too. Also. Black Lives Matter also. We matter. Do everybody else's life matter? Yes. And for the record, blue ain't a life. It's an occupation. You can say all you want. You bleed blue. You are blue. It's an occupation. You're only blue for a certain amount of years. When you put the badge down, you're not blue anymore. That's like me saying I'm blue and gold because it's my work colors. I'm not going to be blue and gold for the rest of my life. I wasn't always blue and gold. But I'll tell you one thing. I'm black. I've been black since I was born. And there ain't no changing. I wouldn't change it. It's dangerous. It's lit. But it's dangerous. I walk out there. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what somebody's thinking. Somebody look at me. I walk past. Unfortunately, I walk past a white person every freaking time. I'm always wondering, are they racist or not? Or if somebody's extra nice, you wonder, is it genuine? Sometimes, I ain't gonna say I got the greatest radar of racist radar, but I've met some incredible. Some listen to the show. I have View from the Top Rope on here. Shout out to them. And they've been supporters of the show. I've had a lot of people, a lot of friends. I grew up. My first best friend is white, Michael Moscato, from day one. So that's where I'm at with that. It's rough. It's rough out here. And that's why I didn't do a show last week. I just couldn't, to be honest with you. It was a lot for me mentally. I just didn't want to do it. I didn't. I gotta give a shout out to Dave. Good God, Dave. Dave always supporting the show. He supports this show. He supports a lot of other shows because he just simply he's simply a good guy. But He's just a positive ball of energy, and I always appreciate that. And sometimes I forget to mention his name. So, Dave, thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you so much for sharing the content, because you don't have to. I appreciate it. But let's talk wrestling, okay? Not going to be before you very long. That's the same we say in the church. But just a couple things I want to point out. I got to give a huge congratulations. Last week, he became the United States champion, and that is Apollo. He's got his last name back, Cruz. Apollo Cruz defeated Andrade to become the U.S. champion. I like this move. To be honest with you, I was kind of tired, and I was just like, I only think I saw it live, unfortunately. But I saw a lot of people celebrating. And I said, oh, wow, you know. So it was good to see him win the championship. And then I watched his match he had with Kevin Owens, and then it was a tag match, and he got another pinfall over Andrade. Do I expect him to keep it long? Probably not. Maybe with recent events, maybe he will. How cool would it be? Because we do have right now, the Street Profits are the tag team champions. So how cool would it be for them to be tag champions? Apollo will be the U.S. champion, and Bobby Lashley to win the WWE championship. Will it happen? WWE, I dare you. Pull the trigger. You said you're with the fight against racial injustice. Treat us fairly. The storyline would make sense. It would make 100% sense. Do it. But yeah, so there's that. Bobby Lashley and his feud. I love what they're doing with him and MVP going against Drew McIntyre. Now if I can really break down what I think is going to happen, I think Lana is going to somehow cost Lashley the WWE Championship, which I really would hate to see that happen, because then it would be the whole saying, I can tell you what the black wrestling community, especially the ladies, going to say, see what happens when you get involved with a white woman? That's what they're going to say. I'm just saying. Like I said, I would love to see Lashley win the championship. I love MVP with him. MVP is solid. He's good on the microphone, and quite frankly, he's perfect for him. You know, so we'll see what happens right there. Moving on. Big Swole was victorious over Nyla Rose. Want to see, I would love to see her get an opportunity. She's a solid worker, man. Solid worker. She believable. That's the thing, believability. She looks like she can beat you up, because she can. I'm pretty sure. So I want to see what happens there and see what happens with that. Sasha and Bayley are back at it again. Bayley sending Sasha into the ring to face Alexa Bliss, even though Sasha wasn't ready. But I really enjoyed the way this was going. Sasha was victorious. Glad they're not just making her lose again. So this made a lot of sense. Next week on SmackDown, or should I say this week, in 2 days, we will get Bayley and Sasha against Nikki and Alexa. So let's see what happens there. I want to see Sasha and Bayley win the tag titles again. This is a solid story. I'm not usually a fan of what I'm about to say, but I would not mind seeing them be the tag team champions and then have a friendly fire match against each other for the SmackDown Live Women's Championship. You did it with Shawn Michaels and John Cena at WrestleMania of all places. So why not do it now? Why not have Sasha and Bayley versus Sasha and Bayley as champions? Perhaps even have them defend the titles that night. Still keep the belts going, but just have them defend the titles that night, and then they face each other. Don't make that the big part of the feud. Let the big match happen later. That's just a thought. So, but yeah, so, I thought, just a few things that I definitely thought was interesting over a few weeks. I'm be honest with you, don't really care for the Street Profits and War Raiders. And it's entertaining to somebody. It's just not entertaining to me. So We'll see. Velveteen Dream challenging for the NXT Championship. I got a gut feeling he's going to win it. I do. For some reason. Backlot Brawl, Velveteen Dream at... Now, I ain't going to lie. I was preparing for the show, so I didn't catch the end of... NXT. So that gives me a plain plate to think about this, right? Because I'm not thinking from the standpoint of who went up last, who didn't. But I do. I think Velveteen Dream has a good chance. Adam Cole has been the longest reigning NXT champion. I wouldn't be surprised. It feels like they do have some high hopes in Dream. So I think now it happens. Keith Lee defending his North American Championship against Johnny Gargano. I think Keith Lee's holding on to this title. I do. I think he's going to hold on to the title for a while. I see bigger things for Johnny Gargano, but I really like what him and Candice LeRae is doing. And I like Keith Lee and Mia Yim. I really would have wanted to see... The tag match was cool, though. You know, I guess it sets up for In Your House, even though I was really looking forward to a good match between Candice and Mia. But this made sense looking at it long term. But all right, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to wrap things up, folks. Man, you know I didn't do a show last week. Then I come back this week. You know, 2 weeks ago, we had just lost Shad Gaspard, and we saw people rally behind him. And my thing is, like, you say you love Shad. You do. You say you love Shad. And I don't know Shad. But what I did know was he was a black wrestler. And he was a black wrestler that rooted for Kofi Kingston and got emotional when Kofi won the title. So for me, that tells me is that he was thinking about a lot of the racial injustices that we face in professional wrestling. So therefore, we have to stop. If you are saying you support us, because Steven Jackson said, you either with us or you against us. It's no more toting the line. You know, John Cena and his lines of, you know, we all, you know, that toting the line stuff, you know. In this time, I'm going to be honest with you, you know. I don't want to hear about, yeah, I support you guys' rights, but peacefully protest. I don't want to hear it. I'm not encouraging rioting. But I'm going to be honest with you. That's if some people feel that's how they got to get things done, that's on them. That's not me. I don't encourage it, but hey, that's how they feel. For John Cena, you know, but like I said, these blanket statements, we all have our flaws. We all have flaws. Facing our flaws is very difficult to process. It's the only effective way to grow. If an individual, group, title, or idea ever gets to the point of assuming flawlessness, accountability is lost. Positive change becomes next to impossible. Bull crap. What do you just say it, John? And then, like I said, stop with the Dr. King speeches, man. This isn't January. Stop it. Stop with the Dr. King quotes. That does not make us say, yeah, they're on our side. They're saying Martin Luther King quotes. Stop it. Just stop it. Martin Luther King was killed, and then riots happened, and then civil rights laws was passed. Hopefully, what Steven Jackson was trying to tell y'all was fix it. Fix it. We don't want it to have to get to that point. Just fix it. And I'm calling out pro wrestling to do the same. Fix it. Man, I tell you, you know, before I leave, Simone Johnson, you know, The Rock's daughter, she's out here. Shout out to her, man. Shout out to her. You know, she's black. She has Samoan in her blood, but no doubt about it, her grandfather was the late great Rocky Johnson. But, Oh, okay. No, so I'm just looking through her tweets. And I know she was up there talking about she wanted to find any black owned restaurants. I was one that she said, she called out the Redskins, the Washington football team. She said, your team is literally a slur. Why don't y'all start there with the Blackout Tuesday? Because like I said, a lot of people's blacking out, and that's cool and all. That's cool. But like she said, please do more than just post a black screen. She's right. She's absolutely right. Even Sonya Deville. Hey, just trying to pass the info. Please do not use the Black Lives Matter. Well, she was standing with the culture. So, it's like I said, it's just a lot going on, man. And obviously, we just want equality. We don't want special treatment. We do want our reparations, but we don't want special treatment. I heard somebody say, I don't know it's 100% true. What I mean by that is I didn't read the information, but I heard that, the Native Americans that they stole the land for, they gave them some money to, I guess, get started, but they never gave black people 40 acres and a mule. So, like, hey, we want our reparations. But nonetheless, we're not asking when we go on these jobs for handouts because we feel that's disrespectful. We're not asking you to say, hey, give me this now. We're not asking you to say, hey, give me a promotion because I'm black. No, we're saying is we want to be treated equally. We want to be judged by the content of our character, not the complexion of our skin, color of our skin. So if you want to quote a Martin Luther King Jr. quote, there's one for you. Start judging us by the content of our character, not the complexion of our skin. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me on this episode. Like I said, I know it's another emotional one. I got a special project I'm working on. Not going to reveal it just yet. But I promise you, I believe you'll enjoy this one. I can't wait for it. I'm going to just leave it at that. Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seeing on the ticker, but let me throw the icons up for you. Subscribe to the podcast. Subscribe to the Wrestling Realm on YouTube. Just go to Wrestling Realm, wherever you get your podcast from, or wherever you watch your YouTube videos. Obviously YouTube, but yeah, go right there. Turn the bell notifications on. Subscribe to the show. Follow us at Wrestling Realm. Follow us on Twitter. To my allies, I appreciate it. Whether you're white, Asian, Hispanic, yeah, I appreciate it. To my black brothers and sisters, we in this, we got this, we will rise and overcome this. I have a great feeling about everything. I don't know why, to be honest with you, but I do. I have a great feeling about it. So let's continue this fight, and before I go, one more time. George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, Tamir Rice, Trayvon Martin, Oscar Grant, Eric Gardner, Philando Castile, Samuel DuBose, Sandra Bland, Walter Scott, Alton Sterling, and it's just countless other names. The names that's not on the list. So, Michael Brown, Botham Jean, Atiana Jefferson, Doug Lewis. So many names. And I'll end it with Freddie Gray. You guys may say they're innocent. You guys may say they were criminals. Not here to debate that. Because nonetheless, they are entitled to still be living on this earth. If they were in the wrong, they were entitled to an opportunity to correct their lives. After all, Dylan Roof is still living. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me on this very emotional episode of the Wrestling Realms Break It Down with Brian H. It is my responsibility to use my platform.